Good morning. Today, 6th September 2024, we are going to discuss editorials of The Hindu. First article here about IC 814 Lessons Beyond the Binary. This article see in 1990s one plane was hijacked. The plane was traveling from Nepal Kathmandu area to Delhi NCR. However, the plane was hijacked by terrorists and then it was parked in Afghanistan, and then the terrorists demanded release of three terrorists captured by Indian government. Subsequently, India had to negotiate with them. So during this, on this slide, this article has been released. Basically, recently one web series, why this issue has come now? Recently one web series has been released called IC 814. This is drawing a lot of attention from even Indian media, political persons. First thing, if you see this web series IC 814, they use names. Hijack was carried out by basically terrorists, those belonging to Muslim community. However, there is objections raised by people wherein names have been used as Bhola, Shankar, even Burger, Doctor. Arguably, these names seems to be used by terrorists as code names during the flight. It was reported by many people. This had become huge issue. Second thing, such a heinous crime has been perpetrated by those terrorists. However, if you can go in the web series shows them in the good light. They are good human beings. They are playing Antakshari with the people whom they have hijacked. So these kind of light, even portraying them in good, this is not for community, this is not for country also. In this light, this article has been released. A different perspective has been discussed. We will discuss this article. If you see web series IC 814, this Kandahar hijack, this got a lot of debate on the complexities and grace that accompany such incidents. Beyond such an obvious thing what we discussed, there was lack of coordination, responsiveness, even allowing the flight to take off from Amritsar. This is one important question if India did wrong in negotiating with terrorists. What happened? The flight, instead of going Delhi, it landed in Amritsar, Punjab region. There, we could have blocked the runways so that the flight could not move out, and then we could have taken the target, basically terrorist, and then we could have taken their lives, and then we could have rescued the people. The government at that time completely failed in doing such things. Given this handiwork of these released terrorists in the subsequent terror attacks, the main question need to be asked is how the terrorist has been gotten out. Beyond simply answering yes or no position that actually we are raising in this argument, this requires very nuanced approach in attempting the answer. It is universally agreed negotiation with terrorists is very bad idea, but sometimes the consequence of not negotiating can have far more debilitating and costly consequences. Even negotiation, it will lead to loss of lives if we cannot negotiate at the right time. Even it is frequently argued, countries such as Israel and United States of America, they do not negotiate with terrorists. Even it is further claimed because of such unbending postures by these countries such as Israel and United States of America, they avoid being taken as hostages. But such a kind of beliefs are untrue. They are misplaced. They belie the wheels within the wheels of American and Israel realities because they go beyond publicly posted position of the no negotiation. If you consider first work kept secret in such countries, these kind of works happen through proxies. Suppose American citizen has been hijacked by some terrorist, and then what American will do is publicly they will declare that they won't negotiate with terrorists. But in the backdoor channels, what they will do, they will negotiate with friendly countries, and friendly countries will definitely talk to terrorist organizations. Suppose say America will talk to Saudi Arabia somehow intervene the mediation, and then the process happens. Even if you see Iran Contra affair in 1981-86, during American President Reagan, American hostages were held by Lebanese group. This is a Hezbollah extremist group. They exchanged weapons for Hezbollah, and then they released. This didn't even come to public picture. Recently 2014, Americans had release of 5 Taliban prisoners from Guantanamo to secure American hostages. Even last August, United States believed they have unfrozen 6 billion of Iranian funds to South Korean banks to secure release of the 5 US citizens. Even if you see 7th October famous attack on Israel by Hamas, this can be argued from the cash-strapped Iranians because they want to get cash so that they have taken hostages of Israeli populations. Israel themselves, they are master of backdoor negotiations, irrespective of the how dangerous they can look at the public consumption. In the Gilad Shalit, he is an Israel prisoner. In the exchange of 2011, it is believed that Israel they released 1,027 prisoners who were held in the jails. Even now, this going Gaza Strip continues. The Israel in parallel, they are continuing negotiation with Hamas for release of their citizens whom they have been held hostage. Often, the agreed government can end up losing a lot to leverage and lives when they refuse to engage with bad actors. We can choose to do, even Indian case also, we can choose to do 2 things. We cannot engage with the terrorists and then we can demand strict action against them. However, in order to save lives, every life counts, then we need to negotiate with them. We need to negotiate through backdoor channels. Negotiation, they help in immediate outcomes. They buy crucial time for alternative reactions. Most importantly, they will help establishing critical information. Even they leads to capture that could be invoked productively. Lastly, well-managed ransom payoff that we can pay a lot of money to terror organization. This can lead to discovering broader terror networks and then bases that can be taken down using terror infrastructure subsequently. These negotiations does not have the equivalent to surrender or even bad deals necessarily. From the post-release activity of 3 terrorists in this IC 814 case, it was costly deal, but there was any alternative? We could have followed any other alternative. This hijacked plane, this was parked in the backyard of Pakistan's ISI-supported Afghan base with 158 precious lives. You exclude 5 terrorists among them. The terrorists in this case, they were not exactly known to be reasonable. They had given glimpses of their inner intent with brutal and fatal stabbing of passenger Rupin Katyal. Even commando operations using Indian Special Forces was impractical. This was met with the danger of additional risk. With the clear intention of harming Indian interest without iota of any fear of getting caught, the risk of lives of all passengers, even crew of IC-814 was not possible, but it was very imminent. The calculation and opportunities that would have been far more creative with possible solutions. This IC-814 has been held up in Amritsar as opposed to Kandahar. Basically, the flight was landed in Amritsar. There we could have stopped the flight and then we could have demanded, but it was our mistake. We let them go and then things got out of our control. Could India have forsaken the lives of citizens? Has any other country even forsaken lives in similar circumstances? Even did the USA attempt negotiating with Iranian authorities when US embassy staff was held hostage, or did it fastly hold to no negotiation postures? This no negotiation, this is ideal even practically. It is a deterring policy but never seen in the ironclad law anywhere in the world. Countries such as Israel, even India, they convey behaviorally the guarantee of serious reprisals, even redeeming their lives. If you see Operation Hot Pursuit, this was carried out against National Socialist Council of Nagaland, Isaac and Koiwa, they were insurgent in Myanmar. This was normalized expectation of bad actors. Thereafter, surgically and purposefully convey the solid sovereign intent. This was carried out by India to serious reprisals and then redeeming the loss during this operations, Operation Hot Pursuit. So there is no silver bullet or inviolable guardrails in tackling terror. Except we need to adapt and responding according to the situation. We need to ensure overall objectives are not lost to inflexibility, weakness, or indecision. Just because we haven't taken right decision, it doesn't mean we are inflexible, weak, or indecisified. This IC 814, this was lapse of immense proportion, but the complexities of the 8th day ordeal necessitated negotiation in that specific case. As insisting in any other case, easier said than done. This was instructed by history anywhere in the world. So history may tell many such things, but there was many such complexities are involved, which this time we cannot understand. We just need to go with the flow. Next article here, it talks about food security, and we'll discuss this article in detail. During discussion of National Food Security Act, there was even several discussion about continuing this public distribution system. Even the discussion was why public distribution system need to be continued. According to this National Sample Survey data from 2011-12, there was leakage of around 41.7% in this PDS. Even the main argument for favor in continuing this PDS, states had taken several reforms in PDS, then they have witnessed major improvements. Then author gives several examples. In 2004 to 5 to 2011 and 12, several states have saw dramatic reduction in the leakages. Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, you can see the numbers there. With the package of PDS reforms that is being continued under National Food Security Act 2013, there was even hope that more states could improve. Thus, National Sample Survey, Household Consumption Expenditure Survey, data for 22-23, this gives hypothesis. This data suggests that PDS leakage were down to 22% in 2022-23. Now we need to understand the data and methodology, how it is leakage has been carried out. What do you mean by first thing leakage? Food Corporation of India tells leakage means proportion of PDS, public distribution system, rice and wheat, that fails to reach consumers. Basically, monthly food grain bulletin will be released by Food Ministry. Then this will take how much offtake data reported, how much the rations have been taken. First thing, what is PDS? First thing, you might have gone to villages, even urban areas. People will be having Aadhaar card, even ration card also. Based on the ration card will be several types, right? Pink card. When I was in my village, we used to have white card. So this white card, your family details will be registered. Suppose say you are family of 4 members, and then each person will be given 5 kg of rice, and then subsequently dal, even salt and all. So these things will be distributed through PDS. If we see reference period August 22 to July 23, PDS ration card holder, they were getting National Food Security Act grain 5 kg per person per month for priority households, even 35 kg per month for Antyodaya households. In addition, they got Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana grain till 2022, when Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana COVID-19 relief was discontinued in December 2022. To arrive at the estimate presented here, offtake under National Food Security Act, including tied over rations, non-National Food Security Act, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, they matched with HCES, Household Consumption Expenditure Survey, PDS purchase of wheat and rice households. It is worth bearing in mind that these estimates are the best possible with available data. Any mismatch between offtake and purchase is attributed to leakages, though there could be other reasons, transport losses, lags in supply, and so on. Even Why this underestimate? Some state run expanded PDS, providing PDS grain to non-NFCA beneficiaries using central contributions, even as well as state contributions, local procurement. Chhattisgarh Food Security Act, it was passed in 2012, made PDS quasi-universal using local procurement. All India leakages estimated 17.6 to 18.2. These are underestimate. They can only take into account of central contributions, not the non-state contributions. There are 14 crore non-NFCA beneficiaries, whom most 6 crores are supported entirely through state contributions. If we add the state contribution for state supported non-NFCA beneficiaries to total offtake, all India leakage estimated rise to 22%. What is the impact of NFCA on PDS coverage? One of the major PDS reforms included in this NFCA was expansion of PDS coverage. This PDS coverage aimed at reducing exclusion errors but had a spillover effects of reducing leakages. In 2011-12, before NFCA, less than 50% households had ration cards. The proportion of households getting anything from PDS was around 40%. There was improvement from 2004 to 5 when only 24% of the households were accessing PDS. The improvement between 2004-5 to 11-12, this was driven by reforms in states such as Chhattisgarh, Odisha, where this PDS coverage increased substantially in this period. If we see Chhattisgarh, there was threefold increase in the proportion of household using PDS from 21 to 63%. According to this household consumption expenditure data, in 22-23, the proportion of household buying from PDS increased further to 70%. In large part, this is rollout of the National Food Security Act. In spite of the improvements in this coverage, center is falling short of coverage mandated by National Food Security Act, 50% for rural population, 75% of the urban population. This is around 66%. Earlier, based on the administrative data, suggests that 59% had access to PDS as NFCA beneficiaries. Similarly, according to household consumption, out of 70% who access PDS, only 57 to 61 they have NFCA ration cards. The rest are non-NFCA beneficiaries. PDS reforms undertaken by early reforming states such as Chhattisgarh, Odisha, they included reduction in PDS prices, doorstep delivery of food grains, digitization of records, deep privatizing management of PDS outlets by handing them over to panchayats, even self-help groups also. These reforms, they were incorporated in the National Food Security Act 2013 in Chapter 5. As stated, by 2112, PDS leakage estimated in the early reforming state, they had already crashed. Since then, more states with high leakages have managed to reduce them. According to household consumption, it was just 9% for Rajasthan, 21% in Jharkhand, 23% in Uttar Pradesh. All one-time basket cases. Many believe integration of Aadhaar, especially Aadhaar-based biometric authentication, this led to improvement in the PDS. Data from primary surveys do not support this. 2 surveys have been carried out in Jharkhand. This will give a light on this issue. Study by Muralidharan, Neus and Sutankar, they found leakages before introduction of the Aadhaar-based biometric authentication. That was already less than 20%. Even several people reported that purchase entitlement ratio. What is purchase entitlement ratio? The proportion of entitlement that people actually purchased in offline villages, in Aadhaar-based biometric authentication villages were virtually the same, 94%, 93%. So both kind of these surveys found little evidence of ghost cards. Basically, those who are having 2 to 3 Aadhaar cards, they can benefit. So there was less relevance. Puzzlingly, we can say leakage in states where PDS traditionally worked better, they have not experienced further improvements. In fact, estimated leakages have increased in Tamil Nadu from 12% to 25%. Present perspective, PDS is now functional instrument in social policy. This guarantees food security to many people, those who are living in bottoms of the section in rural areas all will be availing food security. Even COVID-19 lockdowns, PDS formed a backbone for relief efforts along with National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. However, this PDS remains with very endangered instrument for social policy. This is constantly subjected to innovations, cash transfer experiments, doorstep delivery to people in homes and Delhi, even in Andhra Pradesh also, imposing inappropriate technology, Aadhaar-based biometric authentication. Instead of expending energy on these ill-conceived measures that can easily throw away this PDS system, scarce government capacity should be channeled to expediting delayed census that is leading to exclusion of over 10 crore people. Other demands include inclusion of more nutritious items such as pulses and edible oils. They remain very relevant in these cases. This is about Food Security Act and how revamped PDS system has been functioning. Next article, how India's critical mineral mission can be utilized in Africa. This article you can see from GS paper 2 from international relations point of view. In the budget 24-25, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced setting up of critical mineral mission. In August, Ministry of Mines they organized seminars to discuss this critical mineral mission objectives. Officials noted efforts are being taken even fast tracked in mission mode toward three aims basically. One is expanding domestic production, prioritizing recycling of critical minerals, incentivizing overseas acquisition of assets. Work on all these fronts is underway. The amendment made to Mines and Minerals Development Act 1957, this resulted Mines and Minerals Amendment Bill 2023. This removed 6 minerals from the atomic list. Hence, these 6 minerals can be subjected to private sector. They can explore these in India. To engage with mineral-rich countries overseas with a mandate of secure supply of critical minerals for the Indian economy, a joint venture of 3 public sector undertakings, basically Khanij Bidesh India Limited. This was founded in 2019. This is a public sector undertaking to form critical minerals. First major agreement for lithium exploration mining, this was signed in January 2024. It will provide access to 5 blocks owned by Cayman in the Catamarca region of the Argentina. So India signed for lithium exploration. We have seen several times Argentina is rich with lithium. Major and medium scale mining companies in India, they are also seeking opportunities to ensure steady feedstock of minerals. But India's capacity for exploration, processing of such minerals, it is in still development status. Lack of manufacturing capacity of end-use components, need to skill labor force. This is very crucial for battery manufacturing. How we can use Africa as India's supply chain? For India, critical mineral mission to succeed, New Delhi, we have to find ways to leverage its existing partnership with countries in Africa. Africa is a region, if you see, 30% of the world known critical mineral missions can be found there. A familiar geography for Indian enterprise, India shares deep political, economic, historic connections with the continent. There is a wide commercial network created by 3 million strong diaspora, 30 lakh people residing in Africa. External Affairs Minister, they told Africa as a land of future. Even recognized Africa's importance in advancing global priorities. This is reflected in New Delhi introducing new diplomatic missions to Africa. Collaborations on critical minerals, this will bring a new dimension to the multifaceted energy partnership between the regions. Of present bilateral trade with Africa, 98 billion, 48 billion, 43 billion comes from mines and mineral sectors only. Similarly, significant portion of this 75 billion that India already invested in Africa is by public sector units for the acquisition of energy assets. India sources approximately 34 million tons of oils, This accounts 15% of the total demand in India from Africa, alongside rising imports of natural gas, minerals, and mineral fuels. Further, as a part of International Solar Alliance, Government of India benchmarked 2 billion for solar projects in Africa. Building resilient supply chains to Africa, it is being imagined that African governments are employing array of policy instruments to diversify away from pit to port model. Tanzania, this is developing multi-metal processing facility. Zimbabwe and Namibia, they have banned export of raw materials to ensure value addition. Ghana has approved new policy for exploitation and management of green minerals. This forthcoming Africa Green Mineral Strategy, this champions idea for Africa's mineral-based industrialization. This will present a great opportunity for India to support its developmental agenda. One more factor we need to consider is China's factor. China is seeking international attentions, especially the extent of China exerts over its value chain. They have economic and security risk for India. With early acquisition of assets, development and processing of the manufacturing capabilities, China enjoys huge influence. Chinese mining companies, they have significant presence in cobalt mining in Democratic Republic Congo. They have recently signed 7 billion mineral for infrastructure deals. In this geopolitically dangerous environment where African agency is looking to build viable alternative partnership, there are some unique advantages that India could leverage. Indian construction companies, they have completed several projects in 43 African countries. This include transmission line in Tunisia, hospitals in Tanzania, railway lines in Ghana. In the African critical minerals landscape, identifying strategic projects with host countries, building mining adjacent infrastructure, they are very key to development. India has signed memorandum of understanding with Zambia, Zimbabwe for cooperation in the geopolitical mapping, mineral deposit modeling and capacity building to help critical mineral workforce, utilizing mechanisms such as Indian technical and economic cooperation that has trained 40,000 Africans in 10 years. This would help strive positive energy partnerships. There is increasingly nuanced role of Indian technology startups across the mining value chain for innovating tools that accelerate mining exploration, extraction. This also minimizes ecological impacts to utilizing technology for beneficiation of mineral ores, providing reconnaissance of services. There is a whole suite of services that provide that private technology companies can provide. India is good at service sector, so India can benefit Africa by establishing collaborations and partnerships. Their expertise in niche areas in mining, this brings elements of value addition that African government could explore. On African priorities, Marit Kitwa, he is a director for African Minerals Development Center. He told only way to transform lives is to add value. So India's critical mineral mission, they should prioritize responsible practices in an era that threatens to be dominated by geopolitics of not so green energy transitions. This is the article about. So today we discussed 3 articles. Thank you very much for discussion.